and welcome back to Big City B. I'm B for those of you who are just joining me for the first time. The book that I'm going to be reviewing today is Inconvenient Daughter by Lauren J. Sharkey. The genre for this book is contemporary fiction, and check out the description below for any trigger warnings. Alrighty, here is your summary. Rowan Kelly knows she's lucky. After all, if she hadn't been adopted, she could have spent her days in a rice paddy or a windowless warehouse assembling iPhones. They make iPhones in Korea, right? Either way, slowly dying on Long Island of boredom is surely the better alternative. But as she matures, she realizes she'll never know if she had her mother's eyes or if she'd be in America at all had her adoptive parents been able to conceive. So Rowan sets out to prove that she can be someone's first choice. The main characters for this book are Rowan Kelly and her mother, I would say. Track 2 is going to be Cole and Hunter, and I would say track 3 is probably Rowan's father and her brother Aiden. Moving on to what I liked about this book. The first thing that I liked about this book, that all of the emotions were very believable and raw. You could feel the raw hurt and anger and wanting in this story from Rowan's perspective as an adoptee. And I felt like Lauren did this really well because she is also an adoptee, so she's taking it from her perspective and experience, which I think is really key because in my experience, a lot of books about adoptees are written by people who are not adoptees themselves, so then a lot of the emotions are toned down or glossed over. So I like that this one had a lot of the anger, the hurt, and the questioning that I'm sure that there would be. The second thing that I liked about this book was that it was a quick and easy read. I think I finished this one in a day and a half. It speeds through really quickly and I didn't get hung up on any part or feel like I had to stop because I had lost interest. So that was good that I kept my interest throughout the whole story. The third thing that I liked about this book was that it was very easy to connect with Rowan. Even though some people might feel like the anger is not justified, I felt like it was justified because it seems like in her family, things were not handled in a direct enough manner, and there were issues about being an adoptee that were never really addressed, so I could easily understand her anger and frustrations there. And I could also really connect with Rowan's wanting to find someone that she is the first choice for, that she's the one they pick and not the backup or the side chick. There were a few things that I didn't like about this book. The first and biggest issue I had with this book was some of the time jumps. For me, they kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't know if it's because I was reading an early release copy of this book, but it wasn't clear. So I feel like I would have to go back and read the copy that's been released to see if that's still an issue or if it was just the format I was reading it. But they felt like the time jumps came out of nowhere and it was hard for me to track. Also, towards the middle later half of the book, some of the time jumps weren't like present day past. They were past and then further in the past, back to the past. So I just had a hard time keeping the timeline in my head because then we would jump to the present. So that was just something that kind of threw me. So the second thing that I didn't like, which it's not really a didn't like, it's just something I wanted more from the book, is I wanted more perspective outside of Rowan's story. I wanted to know more about her mother's struggles, and I wanted to know how Rowan's actions affected her father a little bit more since he's kind of the carefree guy. And then also I wanted to know how Rowan's actions were affecting her brother Aiden, who was also an adoptee, and how he was kind of dealing with the situation himself because he's kind of like forgotten about, but then also tries to placate his parents, and I'm wondering if that's because he was trying to compensate for Rowan's rebellion and just what his own struggles with being an adoptee were. And I know this is Rowan's story, but I just wanted just like a couple little snippets more for those people to have them be more fully developed characters and not just side characters within Rowan's story. The third and final thing, also not really I didn't like, just what I wanted more of from the book, is that I wanted to see more of Rowan's adult life. I would say for a little more than half the book, we are in Rowan's childhood, and I would say preteen and younger. And I wanted to know more about like her college days and then post-college, because there's a gap after her kind of college days, and then we jump to like present time, future, where she's older, and I felt like I wanted to know in those years what she had been doing. And also I wanted to see a little bit of resolution in Rowan's journey of finding herself, because where it's left off, she still has a long way to go. And though she is doing better than earlier in the story, I just wish we got a little bit more closure that Rowan was gonna be okay. I have one quote that really stood out to me, and that is this: "My wounds are the reckoning of my choices." There was something about this line that when I read it just kind of made me sit and pause and think for a little bit and like have a little bit of those like hair standing up moment. Rowan is not apologizing for any of the wounds or scars that she's had in her life. It's just a roadmap of the things that she's chosen to do. And I think that's universal to all of us. I think we can all trace back either the things that have wounded us emotionally or physically, and think about the choices that we've made that caused us to get those scars or those wounds. And I just thought it was a really nice reminder to not be regretful of the things that we've done, but to look back on them of like, yes, I made this choice, now I have this scar or wound, and now I keep going forward. And I have that as a reminder of that choice. And now I continue. Good job, Lauren, I like that. Lastly, would I recommend this book? Yes, I would recommend this book. Besides the time jump issue that I had, I really enjoyed this book. And I think that it's a great book with an adoptee main character with an accurate portrayal of an adoptee, because it's written by an adoptee. And like I said before, I think other books, when dealing with topics of adoption, tend to gloss over some of the pain and hurt and questioning and longing to fit in that the adoptee feels in order to have like a feel-good story. And I don't need a feel-good story. I want a story that's going to emotionally stir things in me and are just accurate to what people in those situations are going through. Because a lot of the times how I learn about the world is reading about the world. If I'm reading unrealistic portrayals of adoptees in the situation, then my mind, like my perspective is all skewed. So I'd rather books like this where it's raw, it's emotional, but it's real. On the note of Lauren J. Sharkey, I am excited to see where her writing goes from here. And I'm hoping maybe a second book to see Rowan's journey just a little bit more, so we just get a little bit of a sense of, okay, Rowan has enough coping mechanisms, she's gonna be okay. So I'm excited to see what Lauren is gonna do in the future. Alrighty guys, if you liked this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed for next week's video. All the best always. Bye.